Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Or afternoon, again, depending on which time you happen to be watching. Today, what we're going to do is solve our quadratic function, but we're going to solve it by factoring. So you should be on example 1, and what we're going to do is write out example 1 together. So here we start with the equation, x squared plus 6x plus 8. And what I'm going to do, like always before, I'm going to write this all down on a separate sheet of paper. So here we have our notebook, and I have x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. According to our notes, the first thing that we wanted to do was make sure that our quadratic equation was equal to 0, and in this case it is. The next thing that we wanted to do was, like we did in all of our other quadratic equations, identify A, B, and C. So off to the side, like I normally do, we have A, B, and C, and our A value in this equation is 1, our B value is 6, and our C value is 8. Now what we want to do is we're going to follow our directions. What it said we wanted to do was, in a table, we're going to multiply A times C. In this case, our A is a positive 1 and our B is a positive 8. So we wind up with a positive 8 on this side of our table for M, because we M multiplied A times C. On our A side, we're going to take our middle value, which in this case is B. Well, it'll always be B. And this is a positive 6. So I'm going to put a positive 6 on that side of our table. Now what we want to do is take a look at the next part of your notes, or the last slide you should have written down, which was, how do I start to break this down or solve it? Well, what are some of the key things? Well, rules for factoring. It says if the M side is positive, then both of my factors are going to be positive, or the same side as my middle term. So if I'm looking at my problem here, my M is positive. So that means that I'm going to look at the value of my B, and that's going to tell me the sign of both of my factors. What exactly am I talking about? Well, my factors are the two numbers that multiply and give me 8, because that's what I'm finding here. What multiplies these two together, and then what two things multiply to give me 8. So here, we're going to start with the easy one first. 1 and 8. The next one that I have is 2 times 4. 3 does not go into 8, or cannot be divided into 8 evenly. 4 is already there, so I do not have to rewrite it. Now, once again, these are all of my factors, and what I said before is now all of these need to be positive. So this is a positive 1, a positive 8, a positive 2, and a positive 4. Why is that? Because a positive times a positive is positive. And on this side, I'm trying to add these same numbers to see which one gives me a 6. So I can do 1 plus 8. That gives me a positive 9. And 2 plus 4 gives me a positive 6. So this is the combo that I want to use, because that's the one that gives me all of the things that I just asked for. It multiplies, it gives me 8, and it adds and gives me 6. So over here in our X-Man chart, what we're going to do is my AC value we have is 8. My B value we have is 6. And the two numbers that I just found that give me these, I'm going to write to the sides. So I have 2 and I have 4. The next thing that I want to do is I'm going to look at my A value from my ABC over here one more time. My A value was 1, so I'm going to divide both of these values by 1. In this case, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I promise to show you an example of what happens if the A value is not 1 soon. And I'm going to take these, and now we're going to use those little arms again, like when we separated our equations before, our quadratics, and we're going to write this in factored form. So this is x plus 2, and then x plus 4. Put it into factored form. So if I multiply these two together, it's going to give me that polynomial. And that's it. Oh, wait, that's just falling. And that equals to 0, of course. That's it. That's all. That's how we factor a quadratic.